Great time. And hopefully next
And maybe even some of us older owners is, but I'm back.
it's tea time, fools.
Hey up, fools! Mizzah Tee here, back with another video. I'm gonna do this one like my last one, kind of laid back, no crazy production value or anything like that. Just kind of want to have a conversation, which is kind of weird to say because this is a video, uh, where it's just me talking. But just kind of a laid back kind of feel to it. Just me talking about a thought of mine, and I'll have some visual aids, obviously. I just wanted to put these bad boys together because I could. Recently got the Star Fox Zero guide here. I always get the guides for the Star Fox games because finding all the medals is not an easy thing to do, and doing all the tasks you got to do to get them all isn't easy. So I'll beat the game a few times, run through it, get what I can get, and then to 100% it, I get the guide to help me out. So just want to get a look at all the Star Fox glory. There's Assault's guide and the original Star Fox 64 guide. It's kind of weird to have all these together. The memories, man, the memories. Well, anyway, that's not what this video is about. Oh, yeah, let me just quickly show you it's my Dreamcast here. And I've discovered hooking it up to a computer monitor, which I've never seen a better picture for Dreamcast games. So that was very cool to figure out and discover and learn how to do. But let's get into the video. Alright, so like the title suggests, I feel like gamers today somewhat, kind of lack imagination. And that's kind of a blanket statement. I don't mean all gamers. Because a lot of guys, a lot of young guys even will, you know, uh, you know, carry the torch and talk about how they want new ways to play and they love, cool new hardware, stuff like that. So I don't mean everybody, it's a YouTube title. I don't like making my titles too long, so I try to, as best as I can, get the idea out of what the video is going to be about as short as I can. So anyway, yeah, it's just a thought I've had. I just was thinking about, me as a really young gamer back in the day, what type of stuff that I used to enjoy seeing. I wouldn't, I got some, I guess I got some props here, some visual aids to talk about some of the stuff I'm thinking about. Obviously, here's the Wii wheel here. I remember when I first saw this, I was like, well, that's just a hunk of plastic. It's not really going to do anything. All the ability will come from the controller. It's just, But I was still excited for this. I knew it didn't do anything. It was just a wheel. And my hand ashy. It was just a wheel, um, to put your controller in. The controller has the gyro. It's what does everything. But it made me feel like, oh, I'm gonna have a virtual steering wheel, which is something I always liked back in the day. You don't need, you never needed those steering wheels that came, those peripheral steering wheels that came out with the foot pedals and all that stuff to play racing games. But those always excited me to play racing games because it made it feel different. It gave it a different feel. It was a different experience playing a racing game with that, instead of just using your regular, you know, analog stick or D-pad or whatever you use to play racing games with. And I remember seeing this bad boy, come out after this one here, and the Rumble Pack and all that, and seeing the device I could not name in the last video. I just completely forgot. And here it is, the VMU, which stands for Visual Memory Unit. Get it in focus. I remember seeing this, thinking about all the cool possibilities. One of them was being able to play like a football game and have your plays show up on here instead of on the TV, so your friends won't know what plays you're picking, so they wouldn't be able to pick a defense or a ballpark defense. And I just thought, this is cool. I was kind of disappointed because the display was basically kind of a low-fi, what do you call LCD display with, kind of those Tiger Electronics kind of graphics, if you will. But I was, I remember thinking, oh, you can take your, what are those little things in Sonic? I almost called them Chozo. But you know what I'm talking about, those little creatures. You can take them and raise them on here. I mean, I thought that was cool. Did you need to do that? No, but it just made the game fun. You made you think about the game when you're away from it. And I just thought that was always a real cool thing. I just hope, I had wished that this display here was actually a lot better and cooler, had like a backlight and, could do more. But this was a cool step. I remember seeing this and thinking this is going to be really awesome. And obviously here's Dreamcast's version of the Rebel Pack. So that was cool. I don't really know why I pulled this out. I just thought this controller was pretty. This was like third party's answer to making the N64 controller not look so weird, and you can hold it with two hands and you can access everything. It's not as intuitive. It's a little clunkier. I think that's the Z trigger right there, right? Yeah. And I like the Z trigger on the other side because I'm right-handed, so the trigger felt better on the other side. But I thought it was a cool little attempt. And the quote-unquote zapper, not really a zapper. It's got a little paint on it. I can't remember why I did that. I guess I was painting. And got it on there. Obviously, again, same thing like the wheel, but it was cool to have, something to put the controller in to make it feel like it was a gun, even though it wasn't really. This doesn't really do anything. It just gave you the feeling of a gun. So I thought that was cool. And the stuff that Atari Jaguar was trying to do. I thought, I didn't really care for this console, the controller, all that much, but I thought one thing that was cool. I don't feel like pulling it out now. That's why I have this game to represent it. It's still in the box, so I keep it in the box. The controller had this, had the 9 digits on it, but it had these overlays that would come with every game, and it would show you, like this game, it would be like, a readout for all the different things you can do with the different buttons, and it'd show you. So every game had its own little overlay for the controller, and it was just a cool thing to have. It wasn't necessary for games to do that. It was just a cool thing that let me know that these companies were thinking about, thinking outside the box, and they wanted to do, non-traditional stuff, and that was always a cool thing. Same thing with this freaking device. I mean, this didn't have gyro in it. You couldn't swing this and it do anything. And, but, the reel works. But it wasn't like, one-to-one intuitive type of thing. But for the bass fishing games, this was a cool thing. I saw this and I was like, that's pretty cool. I want one. And, you don't need this to play the bass fishing games. But it just, it was more immersive. It gave you a different experience, and it was fun to do that. I'm making a mess over here. Yeah, let me look at the PSP here. The PSP obviously played games and all that good stuff. On the go, just like any other handheld. But it came out with these movies and stuff. These UMD movies, UMD video. And nobody was asking to play, feature-length films onto this tiny little device. I don't think to this day I've watched an entire movie on one of these things. But I remember really being excited about it, thinking, oh man, I can have portable movies on the go. Even though I still think to this day I haven't watched an entire movie. Maybe Bad Boys, the first one I have on UMD. I think maybe I watched that once, but I haven't sat through a whole movie with one of these because it's just like, why am I looking at this tiny little screen when I can be using DVD to watch on my big screen or now today Blu-rays, but you know, this was still cool to me. It was this cool technology because it was, again, thinking outside the box. And I, you know, I always thought it'd be cool to have, you know, this on the airplane, to be able to watch a movie and not have to deal with the in-flight film, and I can watch what I wanted to watch, portable. And this is back, you know, I'm talking mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s, where you didn't have all these devices that would do that. You can do it on your phone now, but you didn't have that back then. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, this would be a cool thing to have, to watch movies on my, you know, on the go. Even though I never really did that, I still thought it was exciting, you know. And you know, speaking of the PSP, you know, most people, instead of wanting to watch something on a smaller screen, we wanted to watch it on a bigger screen or play it on a bigger screen. We always wanted to play our handheld games on the big screen when we could. And so when Nintendo came out with this bad boy down here, which is the Game Boy Player, so keep that in focus. Yeah, Game Boy Player. Then that's what I wanted one. You know, I had to get one because I was like, I want to play my Game Boy Advance games. This I have a 4 Dreamcast, and this one is basically relegated to my Game Boy Player or Dreamcast, GameCube. This is relative to my Game Boy Player GameCube. I keep this disc in all the time, and I just use this to play Game Boy Advance games on the big screen and capture them. I'm gonna do that a lot more. I haven't really captured anything, but I'm gonna get around to doing that. What game do I have in here? I'm gonna guess it's a Banjo, one of the Banjo games. Yep, Banjo, Kazooie, Grunty's Revenge, which is kind of like Banjo 3, but not really. But probably the closest we'll ever get to Banjo 3. Anyway, so yeah, I mean I was always excited to for new stuff, even if nobody was asking for it. You know, like the Wii Fit pedometer is very cool to me. And of course, you know, like I said in the other videos, the gamepad. I just think if I was a kid today and this was a thing, you know, I would be really excited about this because this is something I, you know, kind of wanted a long time ago. When I was talking about like the VMUs and what you could do with the VMU, and this is the Wii U gamepad. To me, is kind of like what I ultimately wanted in the VMU, which is an off-screen type of situation to where you can put more stuff, you know, kind of like the DS did. And I never looked at the gamepad as a what do you call it, a, an iPad or, you know, anything like that. I always thought of it like as like a dual screen, like the DS, where you'd have more information, more gameplay stuff going on in the bottom screen. But the Wii U never really did that, and that was the sad thing, because you know it did have, like in Madden 12, you can draw up plays on the gamepad, and you know, keep your plays secret on your gamepad. But you know, I just think the kid, or the young guy, I wasn't really a kid then, I was a young man, but I just think that guy, you know, thumbing through magazines back in those days, would have been like ecstatic seeing a device like the gamepad, because it would have been like right up my alley. It would have been like what I always wanted. And I just remember looking through these freaking magazines back then. And this is Nintendo Power here. So this is a preview to Mario 64. I remember just looking through these magazines back then, and just like they would have little peripherals or peripherals on certain pages, and you know, steering wheels, and you know, zapper gun, whatever, and just being excited by all that stuff and thinking, man, this is pretty cool. This is why I like gaming. I'm really into gaming, because I like the new technology. It wasn't just about how much prettier the games got, and that was definitely a part of it. But it was also about like, how are we gonna play games in the future? It wasn't just what the games would look like. It was how would we play them in the future. And, you know, virtual reality was a big thing in the mid '90s. and you had Virtual Boy, and actually Nintendo had a not a virtual, but a 3D device headset for the NES, I think it was, for the Famicom. It never came out in America. It kind of bombed in Japan. Um, and Japan was kind of the testing ground for a lot of stuff that never got over here. But yeah, I remember looking through these magazines and seeing like concept art for consoles that were coming out, and I even see gamers today, like guys with YouTube channels. They'll put up thumbnails and stuff of what the what is it, Xbox Scorpion or whatever, and the PlayStation Neo. How, and they have all these weird concept car looking stuff, like how the concept cars look, the futuristic cars look, concept before they actually come out. And I just think those guys put up those thumbnails and they don't even think about like how cool it would be to have the console actually look like that and have those weird controllers. And that's the kind of stuff that was always intriguing to me, that I always liked seeing. And where I can kind of understand where some guys today don't some younger gamers don't care for that stuff, because at least in the last couple of generations it's always been about the graphics. But in guys near my age, around my age, I feel like they should kind of feel the way I feel, because yeah, graphics was a thing, but if you look through these magazines, it wasn't blah 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 graphics. It was how to how do you play that, and cool ways to play. Oh, I didn't even realize the Star Fox 64 preview magazine here, Nintendo Power. But yeah, it was about like coming up with cool new gadgets and doodads and just fun stuff to keep gaming fresh. And why I feel like gamers today, it's kind of understandable why all they care about is graphics, because that's what they've been taught and that's what they've been pushed for the last 10-15 years, is about graphics. Guys closer to my age should, I feel like, have the similar thinking to me, so where they want to see new ways to play. That kind of stuff excites them. Seeing rumble packs and VMUs and game pads um, would excite them, because this is the kind of stuff that excited me. I just remember reading these magazines from front to back and hearing about this coming out, and I know one of these magazines has like the 64DD in it. I think it's this one. Like, I remember seeing that freaking device, and it had nothing to do with the graphics. It was just there it is right there. It was just the idea of, attaching that to my N64 and having these cool little, what do you call them? What do you call these? It was kind of like discs, like back in the day we had the 4 MB floppies. They weren't floppy anymore, but that was basically what this design concept came from, and just being able to have this hardware. I remember when it was said that it wasn't coming out in North America. I was like, I still want one of those because it looks so cool to me to have. I'm gonna come up on one at some time, but yeah, it's just like it was all about cool new hardware. And like I said, I see these guys put up these concept art, and I don't think they really think about it. They just kind of throw up something to talk about the next PlayStation Neo 4.5, whatever you want to call it, and the Scorpion Xbox's hardware upgrade. And they don't really care about the image itself. And that kind of stuff always excited me. Controllers and peripherals and just new ways to play something. I mean, like I said, you didn't have to have this to play a fishing game, but it would just felt more fun to me. It felt more immersive, and it was just weird. And gaming should be weird, should be fun. I'm not saying that's all it should be, but I still think companies should push to do stuff like this and to make other stuff like this for the good of gaming. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Am I crazy? You know, or do you agree? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for this one, and I'll see you fools next time. Peace out.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Play Nintendo, fools. And thank you all for watching Mizzah Tee Show.